Did you know you can do both red and raptors at the same time? Or that you can also do krugs and red together too? Or how about blue and grom? Riot supposedly removed the ability to double camp a few years ago. But still, there's tons of hidden jungle mechanics that 99% of players just don't even know about. Some are simple and some are practical things that you should be abusing every single game, while others are crazy tips and tricks that once mastered can give you a huge advantage. As today, we're going to be breaking down 15 hidden mechanics, jungle routes, and so much more. So let's jump straight into it. There is a secret mechanic that constantly trolls your clear every single game, and nobody knows why. Everybody already knows how leashing and patience works. When engaged, the large monster in a camp has a patience bar above their health bar. Additionally, there's also the circle surrounding the camp as well. If the camp leaves this circle, it'll cause the patience bar to tick down. That is, unless the camp's outside, but you're still inside. Either way, once you both leave that circle, this patience starts ticking down and the camp will reset after exactly 4 seconds. Which of course, as we know, top junglers always look to take advantage of to speed up their clear. But the big issue that nearly every jungler runs into is that there's another hidden mechanic at work here, as that patience bar is actually only for the large monster in that camp. Once it dies, the smaller monsters have their own patience circle, which is not only completely invisible, but it's a whole lot smaller. You can see this for yourself by pulling a multi-target camp to its max range, then killing that large monster. The little monsters just end up resetting after a few seconds, and this is why you're going to often have those super awkward moments when you have to run reluctantly back to kill one of the small krugs or raptors when trying to min-max your clear. And as we all know, this mostly happens on krugs, but there's a few solutions to this. First, always save your AoE ability for when the medium and large krugs are about to die. Like here, although Lee could finish off the big ones faster by using his E, he saves time overall by holding it until they both die so he can instantly one-shot all the small ones. Now, if you don't have an AoE ability ready though, don't worry. Avoid kiting past the patience range, and then once the krugs have spawned, land 2 autos first before you start kiting, and then kite away. This is going to be exactly enough pet damage combined with 1 more auto as you kite to finish them all off. And lastly, you're able to leave either 1 mini krug, 1 small wolf, or 1 small raptor alive and still hit level 3 from your first quadrant. And if you're doing krugs last, you can leave up to 4 alive and still hit level 4 if you need to get to somewhere fast. But min-maxing patience as a whole is undoubtedly the most important mechanic that every jungler really has to master. So take a simple champion like Nocturne. If you just stand and kill each of your camps, barely kiting or maximizing patience, you're going to finish your clear at a little over 3 minutes. But with just some pretty basic kiting when mobs are low, you can get this down by around 10 seconds. However, mastering your kiting and taking full advantage of patience, pulling camps to you, and even double camping where possible can get that down to as low as 242. That's over 15 seconds that you can save on just your first clear. But after 4 clears, you're going to have had a whole extra minute of time to gank, invade, and take objectives, whatever you want to do. And not to mention, 15 seconds is the difference between getting to Scuttle right as it spawns or being able to gank before it, potentially picking up a first blood that completely snowballs the entire game out of control. Which is why that we make sure to have the world record clears for every meta champion in the entire game inside of our clear course, each with super helpful subtitles to guide you through your clear step by step, including the exact health thresholds to start fully maximizing patience, champion-specific tips and champion-specific tricks that only OTPs know about, and so much more. And after you've mastered your clear, you can take our brand new Jungle Essentials course. With countless 5-star reviews, each chapter is focused on teaching you the practical advice that actually helps you climb in your elo, such as how to balance your time between ganking and farming, what to do when all your lanes are inting, and secrets that you need to know about objectives and priority. Check it all out today completely risk-free using the link in the pinned comment or description below, as if you don't climb at least 5 divisions while actively using our service, you get every penny back, no questions asked. But anyway, let's get back to the video. Now, back to that patience range that we just talked about. A few years ago, Riot made these ranges drastically smaller across the entire jungle. And why did they do this, you might ask? Well, they were trying to kill a mechanic that's called double camping, where, you guessed it, you'd pull 2 camps together and kill them both at the same exact time. For AoE junglers, let's just say this was absolutely absurd. You could cycle your entire jungle so insanely quick that it just wasn't even fair, and so Riot, they nerfed the ranges on this, and double camping, from that point, was a thing of the past. Or so they thought, because players are still finding hidden ways to do it despite the shorter patience radius. And so the most practical use of this is for doing Gromp and Blue at the same time, which honestly for red side couldn't be easier to replicate. Just start your Blue as normal, but pay attention to these 2 little rocks right here. For melee champions, you can click on the rock on the right, smite your Gromp to pull it to you, and then click on the rock on the left to be in position. This way, you're going to be perfectly in the center of both camps' patience range, and as long as you don't move, neither of them will reset, meaning if you have AoE in your kit, like Hecarim does here, you can just spam damage and kill both of them at the same time. But even for champions without a spammable AoE, this is still considerably faster thanks to the additional damage of your jungle pet. So for ranged champions, you could do the exact same thing, but instead pull Gromp to you with an ability. And this is obviously, well, it's completely insane on Fiddlesticks, but for any champion, it's honestly far easier to replicate than it sounds, and you should be able to get it down in just 1 to 2 tries. And this right here is why League just is not a balanced game. As for red side, although this is technically still possible, it's just way too inconsistent to pull off. But one of the craziest double camps that nobody knows about is doing red and Raptors together. There's actually a few ways that you can do this too. If you have the ability to pull a camp from range, you can place a ward on your red, pull the small Raptor from max range, and then you'll quickly smite your red to pull it towards you, and then see this little flower here? Instantly click slightly under it and to the left of it, and you should be in position. Now, just to be clear, this is not easy to pull off, but if you're able to master it, the payoff can be absolutely insane, especially on champions with a lot of AoE damage at level 1. But ranged champions with dashes like Graves and Kindred can also look to abuse this as well. Just start on your red, pull it, then dash over this wall here, and instantly hit the closest Raptor before heading to the same spot. Definitely a cool little mechanic to min-max here, and that's not all. You can even do Krugs and red at the same time, and although it's really only Set and Mordekaiser who can do this reliably, and ideally you're going to be needing to start on your blue side jungle and clear to red, then when you do get to your red buff, simply pull it, walk down to the Krug wall here, and use your E to pull the big Krug towards you. It's going to clip through that wall, and you can auto both the entire time. Kayn is also another champion who can do this, although it is a whole lot harder to do with him, as you're going to need to clip through the wall yourself, but if done correctly, you can just AoE down both camps. Definitely something worth practicing if you're a Kayn main. Now, there's a ton of hidden mechanics in the jungle, and a large amount of them revolve around this little guy here. How your jungle pet works is that after you deal damage to a camp, your pet will then deal AoE damage to that entire camp afterwards 2 times. This is to help junglers without AoE damage clear camps like Krugs and Raptors. And for the majority of your clear, you can just focus the highest health monster and just let your pet take care of the smaller ones. Now, there is a trick to abusing this though that you can speed up your clears by just a few seconds with, and it's super simple to understand. Basically, whenever you're looking to kite a camp towards the next one, or even out of its patience, if you just move between each of your autos, you're barely going to cover any ground. But let's say your wolves are low and you want to start kiting towards Raptors. Then instead, you should actually space out your auto attacks. So you auto once, let your pet hit twice, then auto again. This lets you cover a lot of distance and it will still maximize your damage. And speaking of maximizing your damage, did you know the runes you pick at Champ Select can actually change how hard your pet hits? This is because your pet's damage scales from your max health. This means taking the extra early HP from flat health instead of scaling can surprisingly shave off a few seconds on your early clears, and that's minor, but again, every second can really end up counting, especially in more difficult early game matchups. But jungle pets also come with some major downsides that you absolutely have to know about. First, you get massively reduced experience from all lane minions early on. This starts with you getting only 30% of the experience for the first 2 minutes, and then it slowly ramps up, with you getting 37% at 2 minutes, 44% at 4 minutes, 65% at 10 minutes, and then 93% experience at 18 minutes, with the debuff being fully removed at 20 minutes. Basically, this means sharing experience with your allies is extremely bad early into the game, as not only are you griefing them, but you're also doing it for very little gain for yourself. Now, the only exception to this reduced experience is if you're 1.5 levels behind the average game level, then you don't get this penalty. Now, that said, you should still obviously look to pick up any free waves going to waste in the early game, as you still get full gold. That is, until your total gold earned from minion kills is greater than 40% 20% of your gold from jungle camps, as then killing a minion grants you 13 less gold and 50% reduced experience. Now, this should rarely happen unless your laners are, of course, just permanently dying and you're constantly soaking up waves, but you're going to know if you have this debuff as it shows this icon here above your skill bar. Basically, if you have it, just ignore lane minions altogether entirely, as they're going to be completely worthless. And on the topic of experience, the most important jungle camp on Summoner's Rift right now is the second Scuttle Crab. And if you've watched pro play anytime recently, you are already going to know why. After junglers full clear 2 times and get a Scuttle each, which is pretty standard for most games, there's only one camp left, the second Scuttle Crab of the game. And crucially, it gives you exactly enough experience to hit level 6 and unlock your ultimate, which can be a huge spike for the team with the jungler that secures it. And as this happens just after the 5-minute mark, means it can often secure you the first dragon of the game or ensure you win any skirmish that happens. But that's not the only way to secure the first dragon, because top players have found an insanely smart mechanic that can make the first dragon, well, basically guaranteed, and the trick is all to do with jungle treats. Everyone knows that if you kill a camp, you feed your pet 1 treat, and at 15 treats, your pet evolves and you get your first smite upgrade, taking the damage from 600 to 1000. Only if you were to start on the top side and clear down, after that second clear, you'd actually be missing 1 treat for the smite upgrade. But there's a mechanic put in the game to help you catch up if you lose camps or haven't been farming well, called bonus treats, that when consumed provide you an extra treat per camp. And you can absolutely abuse this mechanic to always reach dragon with your smite upgraded. All you have to do is base after wolves or raptors on your second clear, in turn delaying either your Gromp or Krugs just a little bit, at which point, once it hits 530, you gain a bonus treat, meaning by killing that last camp on your second full clear, you get your smite upgrade. So you can either start dragon yourself and do it considerably faster with the extra damage from your smite, assuming you path the opposite sides to the enemy jungler, or just guarantee you win any smite fight if you happen to path the same way. Oh, and a random quick side tip here that we still see many players fail to use is that once your smite fully upgrades and you consume all treats, it makes it AoE. So always make sure to pull multiple camps together to get full advantage of this later in the game. But moving away from mechanics for just a moment here, it's time to talk about pathing, as there's a new jungle route players are starting to take advantage of to completely counter one of the most common strategies junglers have been doing for years, the Raptor start. As you more than likely know by now, it's super common for farm-heavy junglers to start on their Raptors. The reason for this is that it gets your smaller camps respawning faster, so you can cycle your jungle a little bit sooner and more frequently throughout the game, making it common on champions that either want to power farm or hit level 6 quickly. But high elo players know that if you start Raptors and full clear, you need to backtrack immediately to your Raptors after you finish your first Scuttle. Otherwise, if you waste any time looking for ganks or even basing for an item, the enemy jungler, if they pad the opposite way to you, can just do their Scuttle and steal your Raptors right after for nothing. And there is a way to completely abuse this. What you're going to need to do is at level 1, go get a ward on the enemy Raptors just to confirm that they're starting there. As we mentioned, this is going to often be farm-heavy junglers that are trying to get to level 6 fast, like Nocturne, Amumu, and even Shyvana, or even just the ones with really good AoE at level 1 like Lilia and Kayn. Once you get confirmation that they're starting there, you want to make sure you start on your buff opposite and path the exact same way as them. So, like this Rengar here, he starts his blue to path to top exactly like Karthus. Then, once he finishes his Krugs after a full clear, here's the secret tech. Rather than going to the same Scuttle as your opponent, instantly recall, spend your gold, and head to the opposite Scuttle. This way you can clear it and then go straight into their Raptors. Why this is so broken is that there's 2 outcomes to this. You either get Raptors for free, meaning you're up 1 camp and then can go back to your own jungle if they waste any time after their Scuttle, or if they try to contest, you now have an item advantage over them, meaning if they try to fight or a 2v2 breaks out around mid lane, you have a massive advantage that practically ensures you come out ahead. And quickly, while we're on the topic of invades here, a little hidden piece of tech is that you can completely abuse vision mechanics to steal away buffs from your opponent. Every game behind your blue buff, there's going to be a blast cone that spawns. You can angle this to go directly into the bush near your opponent's blue, and surprisingly, they don't see you while you're in the air. If you know your opponents are starting on their blue, you can sneak into this bush right here, wait for the blast cone, then go right over, sit in that bush, and then go for the easy, unexpected smite steal, which means you're now going to be level 2 and full health, and your opponent has no choice but to just concede the rest of their jungle or just die if they don't flash away. But anyway, back to the roots, as there's yet another new one Challenger players have been abusing that prior to this season was only ever possible possible on just a few champions. And how it works is simple. You start Raptors, then do red with Smite, and then after that, do Krugs. But from here, you immediately press base, and as long as you didn't waste gold on a health potion, you're gonna have around 425 gold, meaning you can buy a longsword, dark seal, or even an amp tome, plus even grab a pink ward if you got one of the former. From here, run straight to your wolves, and just as long as your champion can go over this wall here, then you can do wolves, gromp, and blue as normal. And as you have that extra bit of AD or AP, you're gonna finish your clear around the same time you usually would with a standard full clear, getting to your Scuttle just as it spawns. Only now, if your opponent doesn't know about this tech, then you have an item advantage, practically guaranteeing you win any potential Scuttle fights. And this is something almost every champion can reliably pull off if you get faster and you improve at your first clear. But if you really want to take your jungle to the next level this season, then we just dropped a brand new 5-part Jungle Essentials course for Season 16 that covers everything you could ever need, including the exact rules Challenger junglers use to never waste a single second on the map, when to farm, when to skip camps, and how to turn your dead time into free kills and objectives the enemy jungler just cannot answer. We even reveal the pathing tricks and the counter jungling strategies high elo players are abusing this season to completely 1v9, as well as everything that you would ever need to know about ganking and exactly how to navigate macro and objectives in the mid to late game. So you are never going to get flamed for being in the wrong place at the wrong time again. And look, you pair this up with our world famous jungle clear course with the fastest possible clears for every meta champion, and you've got everything you could ever need to climb as a jungler this season. And we are so confident this works, it's all backed up by our rank up guarantee. Climb at least an entire division while actively using our service, or you're going to get every penny back. Gain access to all of this and more today using the special one-time discount code in the description or pinned comment below, and finally hit the rank that you deserve this season. But for now, thank you all for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.